computer. It is in progress. Thank you so much, Jami, for sitting with me for a few minutes. I absolutely loved having you as a client in my program, and I feel friend because we just have grown so much through your journey, and I go through a journey myself. I'm still going through my jazz, and I feel like I even get to open up on our support calls and share personal things. So I wanted to do this client spotlight because you're one of my favorite journeys to be a part of. So let everybody know who you are, what you do, a little bit about you to start with, and then we'll get into it.
Okay. Well, I'm Jami, and I have been on my personal journey of change for the last 7 years. And I've been a social worker my entire career, and I've been doing that. And since this new journey with you, Leah, I've gone through even more of a transition and left my career to try something new. And there's a lot of things that have played, in that, played a factor in that. I've done a lot of work with you every week on our support calls and talked about it for the last 6, 7, 8 weeks now. Of every time I come on the call, that's been a huge thing. And I think I found that, weight loss, working on yourself, self-care in general, whatever you want to call this, it all goes together. And this program has been a huge part of my journey and helping me get over not only physical limitations or looking at them as limitations, but also in my personal life of tackling all areas of life, not just weight or how I look, but all aspects of life.
Yeah, it's a holistic thing. And if however much we want to compartmentalize it, and we can to some level, but it just really all boils down to us in our inner dialogue. And so how did you come across the program? I don't know if I ever asked you this.
Yeah. Well, you had another client and she worked out with me at my gym, and she brought you to class, a class that I was teaching, and you came, and me and her would cross paths once in a while, and she would tell me about the program that she was on and the journey that she was on. And then of course I got to meet you, and whenever I was ready to start looking for something, she popped into my head, and then I reached out to you, looked at your Facebook page or whatever it was. I can't remember, but reached out and was just really intrigued to the first conversation that we have, and was like, let's connect. I want to do this. Yeah. So we started. Yeah.
So what did you expect? Like, I want to ask, what did you expect versus what you experienced? Was it the same, or was there like, whoa, that was
I don't think I actually went into this with like a whole lot of expectations. I was just open to receiving, like, hey, just I wanted to learn. Well, I guess I did. I wanted to learn how to eat like an athlete. That was my number one goal in this, because, my journey wasn't, I'm not, doing some of the things that some of your other clients do. And I loved that. That was nice that it was personalized to me, and each of us could have our own goals and our own, expectations, and you kind of molded it to fit us. And I think that's what you did. And in this, you taught me how to eat like an athlete. And that has changed so much for me. I was on a low protein diet, had been for the last, and was very successful, in my journey prior to this program. I was on a low protein diet. I lost 100 pounds, kept it off. And then I started working out pretty regularly, 6, 7 days a week. And then I started teaching some stuff myself, but I was just gaining and gaining and gaining. And it was I mean, I can't even describe the frustration in that
You think
of
you're doing all the right things and you're like,
yeah,
what?
yes. And what's different about this program and I've been on every program there is. I've done Weight Watchers twice. I've done every program in Springfield. and and you know, they didn't know how to help me because they didn't have anybody that worked out on the level that I work out. So I would come in and they would be like, well, I guess you could have a little bit more protein, since you're burning a lot of calories. And when I got to you, I couldn't believe the menu and the food. It was actually quite the opposite. I was like, I don't know if I can eat all of this.
I know.
I was like, oh my gosh, I'm starving myself, not on purpose, but
No.
my body was like, no. And
No.
so, yeah, so that's
Yeah.
been, I kind of rambled there, but
No, I mean, that seems to be the, case with a lot, 9 out of 10 people that work with me is they're under eating. And then when they get their plan, it's like, is this a week's worth of food? And it's like, no, it's a day. You get it every day.
yeah,
And then the next question is, can I substitute anything? And it's like, not yet. If it's not
yeah,
on the list, it doesn't exist. And so it's like, so what were your results? Like now that we're way under eating when I got your food journal and I fed you up and you worked at that. It was a process. It wasn't just overnight. You were
no.
like, I'm working at getting all this in, but I'm doing it.
And the meal prep, I mean, that is so important. During this, I was probably the second most proudest thing I've ever done in my life, not even including children. Like, I mean, literally, like when I went on that vacation and you talked to me, I went on a vacation and you talked me through, and I was like, I can't meal prep I did. I meal prepped everything. I drove it to Colorado. I had 7 days worth of food. I knew what I was going to eat at restaurants. And I didn't, come back with a giant gain. I didn't come back with self-sabotage or guilt and that was huge for me to realize I had the power to control a lot of that when
Yeah.
normally I would have been like, oh, excuse to
Yeah.
party and eat whatever I want.
And having a plan is like, that's like your safety net. And when you
Mhm.
know and you have a plan, you are successful. It is. And you were able to go outside of that and do restaurant
Yeah,
stuff and enjoy your
yeah,
vacation. That's
yeah.
what I want everyone to be able to do. So what were your results? Like, do you
Oh yeah,
remember what we talked
yeah.
about?
I think 30 inches overall, and not much on the scale,
Perfect.
which that was the
A mind screw.
the biggest gift I've ever been given was to let go of that scale.
Yeah,
So,
talk about that. Like what would be
oh my
when
gosh,
you looked at the scale every day?
I had an unhealthy relationship with the scale, like 4 or 5 times a day. At points, my husband would have to hide it from me. It's taken me a couple years to get off the scale, and when coming to your program, I was like, oh, we're gonna measure,
Mm-hmm.
and I would see each week results on inches, and
Mm-hmm.
the scale sometimes would be up. I think the first week I started with you, lost inches, and I actually gained. If I had not been measuring, I would have been, oh my gosh, that would have sent me into you
Yeah.
know, a tailspin.
Yeah.
And because of that, I've been able to no longer, I mean, 4 or 5 times a day
That's a
of,
lot
yes.
of
And
beating
and then
yourself up.
now, yes, now I'm like, I may weigh if I'm curious, but I know every week I'm gonna measure
Mhm.
and I'm gonna base my progress off of that and not that scale.
Yeah, the scale is really just the relationship that you have with gravity. And that's about it. And muscle is gained and fat loss is there. And it just, I loved the transformation that we got to see week by week in the progress pics and in the measurements, like 30 pounds or 30 inches overall. And there 7 of that was your
The
waist.
waist. Yeah.
That is like awesome. That is just, that's exactly. And we got to see where you were losing and then even growing. That's
Yeah.
why those measurements are so crucial. I love, love, love. Would
And then
you?
I start now to get it like I'm trying to flex my bicep as hard as I can because I'm like, did it go up? Did it? Because
Yeah,
now I'm a little bit like I want that bicep
yeah,
to go up.
get bigger. I know. It's like when we get excited that our weight in the gym goes up and our like booty goes up or a bicep or our shoulders. That's
I've
like really cool.
I've never had an experience where I wanted something to go up before.
Right. I told my coach when I was working with her, my very first coach, I said, I want my booty to have its own zip code. So she's like, got it. Okay. So just we'll try. We'll get there. Would you do it again if you could?
Absolutely, because the only reason why I'm not continuing this time, because I frankly accountability is my best friend, and plus I got a lot out of our weekly calls
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
a lot of just little nuggets of knowledge that you are able to give me that I take with me. And I right now since I am taking a step back and I've got some baby projects in the works finally
Yeah.
and kind of feel like I have a direction. And
Good.
so
Clarity.
once I hopefully build some stuff back up, I'll be back in it because I
Always welcome.
yeah, I like ongoing knowledge and always, and I think with your program, what's been different with any other program is that you provide just so much of that self, gosh, like on the inside.
Mm,
Nobody else, people have always, they spent time, but you really put the effort and dedication into, like when you had Macy on and just little extra things that you did that were always so helpful and just
good.
helped me grow inside and change the inside even more.
And I think when we get caught up in the 3-dimensional, we do forget there's a 4th and 5th dimension that we are this energy, and how our energy is and how we live every day and the vibration we have is, it very much affects the 3-dimensional. So we can get progress just focusing on that if we wanted to, but there's going to be a point where we hit a roadblock, and it's going to be an emotional roadblock or a limiting belief that we have. And it's going to be frustrating that we're, we think we're doing all the right things. And then it's our energy that needs shifted. And then how do we do that? This has been years of conditioning to put importance, say, on the scale, or it means something on what the number on our clothes is, what size we wear, and all of that. And it's just to take ourselves out of not finding our value solely in that is liberating. It's
Yes.
very freeing. And it's something that I'm constantly in a journey on. And I love that you even said something like, right now, this is where I resonate with, and this is where I'm aligned. And I love that, because I did just a call the other day, or a live, saying, if you wonder if this program is for you, you see whatever program online, not mine necessarily,
Right.
anybody's, you wonder, is this going to work for me? It works for her and it worked for her, but is that the exception, not the rule? And what I just tell people is whatever resonates with you at this part of your journey, because it's never over.
Right.
It's a never ending thing. And so we we stepped in and we partnered during this part of your journey, and it was beautiful, and you were engaged and you showed up even when you didn't want to. And I know there were times I know there were times you're like, I almost didn't get on this call.
Yes. And sometimes that was the success story was
It was, there was the
I'm,
win.
I'm on the call. I'm
I'm
here
here.
facing this, head on, and every week I always was so glad. And every week you gave me something. I honestly, I probably the most thing I walk in every conversation, whatever it was, whether it be our personal lives, or we connected over past traumas and things like that. No
Yeah.
matter what it was, you always gave me a new way to measure progress and success differently than I've ever measured it before. And that has been priceless.
How did you measure your success before?
Well, in any way I could beat myself up,
Mhm. So you
whether it be
measured it in how much you made, your career,
here, yes, like
relationships. Yeah.
that day I've been given this gift of freedom to explore some dreams, and that's unheard of, especially with the world we live in today with inflation. And but I've been given a gift that I could step back for a second and reevaluate my priorities. And I was kind of ruining it with my anxiety and worry about the future. And there
Mhm.
was a day we had a call, and you helped me, you reminded me of there's other ways to find my worth is not in my career or my work or my gene size. My worth is what I get to give to other people, and that happened to be my family. And I was able to go home and truly enjoy being off without the guilt or worry or the anxiety, and was just like, this is my worth.
Yes.
This being able to be there for my family and give them attention and love that they've been deprived of, because the career got in the way, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
was amazing. And I was able to actually enjoy some time off for once. And it's like,
Mhm.
no, I'm doing a lot of good things, even though it's not resulting in what society tells
World.
us.
Yeah.
Yep. That
That
what our
bank
worth
account
is.
balance, that like there's so many intangibles that we don't give enough weight to, that really, when it comes down to it, is what makes us happy or unhappy.
Yeah, yeah.
What would you say to someone that may have been in regards to a fear of starting such a process? What would you say to somebody who might be where maybe you were
You
before
know,
starting?
I have to think about it for a minute because it shouldn't be that intense of a question, but it really is, to help
Loaded. It's loaded.
get started. And you know, I I personally, when I I need to commit to something, I need this type of situation. I can do it on my own,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll dance around that, and I'll, fall off the wagon here and there. But by investing in myself, by investing in something like this program, that honestly usually will kickstart me with commitment,
Mm-hmm.
because I have made an investment.
Right.
And you're not there, I remember your first email, and it was like, I'm not gonna hunt you down, or this is about intrinsic motivation, and you got to bring it too. You're gonna be here, and you're gonna be a support. So it was never dreadful. I've been in weight loss programs that it was like, oh god,
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
never felt that way ever with you. I never. You were there just to show me love and guide me through. And here's some nuggets of stuff you've learned on your journey. But by committing to something, that always helps me kickstart when I'm in this part of the roller coaster of life that,
Right.
and then
Follow through.
having that accountability is, it really, really helps me
Mhm.
because I will, if I know, and like I said, it wasn't a dreadful show up for myself. Yeah, I always could come to you and I don't want to be here, but I'm here. And you would help me through that. And you would help me through that. So I didn't self-sabotage,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know.
and I have to say something about your journey too, because you showed up. You showed up for yourself, and that is 99% of it. It really, and honestly, I would go as far as to say that's 100% of it. I'm sitting shotgun, but you showed up. You made the decision and commitment, and you were honest with your journey. You were honest with where you were. You were honest with your thoughts, your feelings. You were transparent. You were vulnerable. And I loved that you were in a receptive mode, because we're so much in our masculine in our head all the
Mhm.
time. And I know a lot of women can relate to this. Our world kind of really wants us in our masculine, and we are powerful go-getter women, and I can connect to that. But as I have been able to get tapped more into my feminine and receive, I have felt a lot more balance and success in my own worth, what I place value in on the things that I do. So I really resonated with the battles that you had, and I can appreciate so much that you just kept showing up.
Yeah.
And that's where the success is. That really is. And it didn't just become, what does the check-in tell us? We always looked at the wins. We're always looking at and then sometimes it was, you're
Yeah.
here. That's
That
it.
was kind of a byproduct, honestly. Like, we didn't really, it was like, oh, here are the
Yeah.
numbers, you know,
Cool.
it- but it was more, yeah, what are the wins and what what really matters, how do we measure progress in a different way besides even the numbers, even the measurements. Like, we didn't really spend, it was just something we sent, and then
Yeah.
really the rest of the work was just showing
I,
up, yeah,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
doing
Showing up
and
as you were.
what I love too is it's very person centered.
Mm,
So if I have no doubts that if I text you every single day, not that I'm telling people text me every single day, but I
I'm here.
have no
Yeah.
doubts that if that's what I needed, I have no doubts that you would have been right there.
Yeah.
And there were weeks that I'm struggling. And you'd be right on, send me pictures or do this. And it would help me get through,
Mhm.
that weekends where everybody's trying to shove something down your throat, and it would help me
Yeah.
just get through those tough moments that
Yeah, we
you
did
want
a
to.
weekend. Didn't we do a weekend where you sent me pictures of your prepped food? I'm like, okay, what are you prepping? What's going on? I want
and
this.
and that, and that wasn't, I asked for that. It wasn't, I know for a lot of people they don't want, but I needed that. I
Yeah.
needed I needed that, and you were there for me to get me through
Yeah.
it, and it worked.
Yeah. It did. And that's what I loved, how much you knew yourself. And it doesn't necessarily require everybody to know what it is they need, but you really utilized the program and the support um to its fullest. And that I'm so grateful for. I'm so honored to be a part of this, because you guys bless me so much. I feel like this is really for me. But I know, I'm like, I love this synergistic community that we have, and you've been such an integral part of that. And I know you have inspired other participants in the program as well, and they have really followed along with your journey, and everybody cheers everybody on, and that
Yeah.
is a huge, huge thing. So I thank
Well,
you.
this is your purpose. It is. And
Is.
and it's genuine, and it's real, and it's raw, and I appreciate you a lot.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate you, and I know that we will be working together again.
Yes. Friends for life.
Yes. And I'll come to one of your classes. You can kick my
Yes. Yes. I taught this morning. And
butt.
I
Oh yeah,
saw.
they're tough. They are tough. I was like sucking wind. I'm not a cardio girl, okay?
Right. I know. Yeah. And
It's a
it's,
good balance. Good
yeah.
balance.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you. I appreciate you too. Have a
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
You too.
I'll talk